Yeah.
We want to know about. Someone is asking about your dream about RFK Jr. Oh, I'm so glad. That's such a good question because I've been going about RFK Jr. on about him for a while. I my dad had prophesied something about the Kennedys. It wasn't quite fitting to me, but there's
Okay.
something about RFK. I don't think he's going to be president, but there's a place for him. I feel like. I hope, and I do really like that he's a Democrat speaking out. So anyway, what happened with the dream? You had a dream.
It was April 9th, 2022 that I had this dream, and it took place in Martha's Vineyard. And Carolyn Bessette Kennedy was there, and she looked like she might have looked a little older. She had hair to her shoulders. She was in the back of this crowd, and this crowd cleared, and they had this red, elaborate, and they called it a Christmas chair, and they were stirring about putting somebody in this seat, and the person was related to the Carolyn Bessette Kennedy in one way or another. And so this was the dream, and it was April 9th, 2022, that I had this dream. And we see that it was either the day before or the day after the indictment, the first indictment of Trump, he filed his papers to run for president. And then at the beginning of Passover, declared his run for president.
Right.
Which I found interesting also. So this is, but that was the gist of the dream. She was there. It had something to do with her, what went down at Martha's Vineyard, and what was trying to rise up out of Martha's Vineyard.
That's really interesting, Amanda.
Yeah, and that was April 9th, 2022.
April 9th is my husband's birthday.
Oh, I love your husband.
I know. I love him too. But that's actually that's the first thing I thought is a lot of stuff happens on his birthday. He's got a memorable birthday for some reason. There's all kinds of things like the revival at Bonnie Bray happened on April 9th. A couple of things have happened April 9th, so that's interesting too. But yes, I actually watched Jim Brewer interview RFK Jr. last night before I went to bed. I watched that interview that he did with him, which was really good, and I could see Jim Brewer's so funny. I could see he was sort of trying to kind of nudge him in the direction of, look, you can't be president, but you could join our team. We
Well,
welcome
wouldn't
you.
that be an interesting? Do you remember now? I don't know why this is coming to my mind now, but it was called The West Wing, this show that was on way
Yes,
back.
I remember.
Okay. Do you remember towards the show finale, you had a Republican presidential candidate join forces with a Democrat for president and vice president? It was something along those lines at the end of the entire series that occurred.
See, I think something like that. I think people want that because we don't want to be enemies. And what happens is, you
So,
see the other side and they see us, and we're so angry with each other, and we have been sort of blocked from even being able to. They don't want us talking. They don't want us to be friends. They have tried so hard to push civil war in this country, and it isn't happening because people don't want it. Americans don't want
no.
that. We're actually refusing. So I think like a Trump with like an RFK Jr., even though the far left is rejecting RFK Jr., the same sort of middle of the ground people are going to hear him
Yes.
because I've been paying attention to him for a few years as far as what he had to say about vaccines and vaccine injury. I was very interested. And so I would listen to him from time to time. But I never really felt anything more. It just was interesting. And he's Bobby Kennedy's son and the Kennedys. So I'd listen to him. But there's something about, and this is going back to what my dad prophesied. He prophesied about an Irishman in the White House. And he said what was meant to happen in the 60s that was stunted will begin again or happen again, and it'll start in the teens of the 2000s. And he said specifically 2015, 2016, which he said it would begin then. And he was seeing this Kennedy connection within the prophecy. He said, you'll say it's Kennedy reincarnated. but I laugh at your psychics. Now, that's an interesting thing he would say. I don't quite understand it all together, like
Yeah.
all the way, but
Okay.
um, that part of the prophecy, but that will happen with time. It always does. Like you just have to be
Mhm.
patient. But there's something, and then a few months ago, before Robert Kennedy Jr. hit the headlines, I heard him say something, and it just got me, and I was like, Robert Kennedy Jr. The CIA killed. It was that he was talking about how the CIA killed his dad, and all those classified papers came out. And there's
Mhm.
something about God's vengeance because John F. John F. Kennedy, JFK, like a week before he was assassinated, was butting heads a lot with the CIA. They tried to trick him into something that was going on in Cuba. They were going to try to take out Castro. He didn't want any part of it. And he kind of put his foot down. And within a week, they had assassinated him. And so there is sort of this feeling, I think, in the heart of Americans, because even though the classified information has only recently been released, uh, how many decades now have people speculated on what really happened there? And it's been a huge, big part of Americans, because that was brutal. They shot him in the head in the middle of the street, in the middle of the road, like in the open for everyone to see. And that
Yes.
was, and I believe that ever since then, uh, they have had a hold on the American government. And it's not ever been the same. And I think that that has to be reconciled. So when I think of Robert Kennedy Jr., I'm I said Robert Kennedy, didn't I? I meant JFK. Sorry, my brain. It's all the letters. It's too many letters. I meant JFK was assassinated. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated too. Of course, we know that.
Yes.
But I was talking about JFK on the road, and then also his father. His father.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he could be the head of the CIA, can they do that? Does it work like that? I'm sure
Oh, well,
Trump,
that
if he becomes
that would
president, he
be
couldn't make it.
justice served if he becomes the head of the
That's
CIA,
what
you
I
know what
would
I
like to
mean?
see. I want him to take over the CIA and do whatever his dad and his uncle were saying they were going to do. Do it. Get rid of these agencies that have taken control. That's really what's going on here. Is you have bureaucrats and intelligence agencies who have all this information, which gives them a lot of power, and they've sort of taken over.